Hey there, section 3 of what is it, episode 97 of the
Yeah,
DMZ America podcast with Scott
yeah.
Stantis and Ted Rall. All right, well, thank you for joining us for this wacky ride. Uh, the New York Police Department is rolling out two terrifying, no, I think that's fair to say,
Oh, that's understating it. Yeah,
pieces
go
of
ahead.
technology. One has been called the SnitchBot that will be patrolling Times Square as well as New York City subways. This is my favorite quote. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, probably arguably the worst mayor we've ever had, which is saying a lot, says, "We cannot be afraid of the technology." Oh, no, no, no.
What?
You
Oh,
can be
yes, we
afraid of the
can.
technology. And so anyway, so there's two devices here that the NYPD is about to deploy. So I'll just read from the article. The K5, not K9, the K5 autonomous security robot is being added to the NYPD. It is an egg-shaped bot produced by Nightscope
Oh, I saw it. Is that what
that
that
can
was?
that can detect people during restricted hours and is equipped with more than a dozen microphones and 360-degree high definition camera, as well as sonar and LiDAR sensors. It also has a license plate reader. The the bot is about 5.5 feet high, 400 pounds. It travels at a maximum speed of 3 miles per hour. The single rented K5, along with a 7-month service subscription, I swear this is like RoboCop, will run the department about $12,250, according to officials.
What
Uh,
does it do? I mean, if you haven't seen this thing, folks, it looks like a really weird looking white Easter egg.
or a
Um,
Japanese sex toy.
yeah, some kind of butt plug, I suspect.
Yes. Well, maybe that's it. It's a butt plug for elephants.
Okay. Well, that would be terrifying. That'd be terrifying.
Yes, especially if you're an elephant. Well, I don't know. Some elephants might be into that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I'm not
things
going
have
to
already
judge.
been deployed in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and they are so apparently, and so that's where they earned the nickname from people, local Philadelphians, as the SnitchBot. And then if you saw that Black Mirror episode of the dog, they're also deploying these robo dogs, which are truly even more frightening than these kind of dorky, big white like fallacy things. Uh, it's pretty terrifying. So that this is you've probably seen the video of this thing. It was around like 2-3 years ago, pre-pandemic. Boston Dynamic is the company that makes it. It's called Digi-Dog. And
Of
I like
course it is.
it. And it's what's hilarious is that the NYPD started to use it in 2021, but it was returned because the public started comparing its use to an episode of Black Mirror. Um, AOC, God bless her soul, like raised hell about it, and so they stopped doing it. Now, here's the part that's very crazy. They said that they're going to get two of these machines to use in hostage situations or in other dangerous conditions. The two RoboCops will be equipped with technology to detect dangerous gases, and they're going to be paid with, this is my favorite, NYPD forfeiture money instead of budget funds. Scott, do you know what asset forfeiture is?
Yeah, I would imagine it's Rico.
No, 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 no. This is like
No?
asset forfeiture. As a libertarian, is probably going to be something that just makes your teeth itch. Asset forfeiture is the police departments all over the country can stop you without any justifiable cause. They can like not charge you with a crime, and they can take all of your money and your car and sell it at public auction, and they can claim they thought that it was that car and that money was the result of illegal activity. They don't have to convict you in a court of law. You can apply to get your stuff back, but you have to hire attorneys and fight the municipalities in court. And most people can't afford to do that, so they just simply lose their cars.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is
People have,
Rico law.
it's not, well, it's sort of, it's different
Sure
because
sounds like it.
it's and basically it's a cousin of it. And it is like they like police departments will literally target cool cars. Like they love Dodge Challengers and Chargers, and they'll, because they're like, we want those in our, then they take it and then they use them. They take the cash. So basically, it is disgusting. I mean, in a country where you're supposedly innocent until proven guilty, they can just literally, the cops are just highway robbers. They can just steal your shit. The cops are gross. But anyway, they're going to pay $738,000 for 2 of these things.
Holy shit.
I'm like, now, if only there was a human being who was trained to conduct law enforcement activities, what would we call this person? Oh, I know, a police officer. And I bet you could hire several cops for $738,000 a year. I bet you could hire, maybe with full benefits, I bet you could get 5 or 6 or 7.
I'd say 3, but
I'd say 6. I think starting salary.
What's more than 2?
70,000, and then like double that. Where's for the Benny?
Well, here's the thing. We were talking about this before we started recording this thing. Ted, I got to agree with you on this. I mean, and you said anyone who I'm trying to do hand signals there. Well, I was going to let you finish your thought. Anybody who takes one of these out is a hero.
Oh,
because these things are terrifying.
They're monstrosities.
They really are.
The Ed 209 from RoboCop.
Yeah, this thing is. Could you imagine being? I mean, first of all, let's.
How are they going to de-escalate a situation in a hostage situation?
Yes, Yes, exactly.
There you are. Okay, so let's just say you're holding up a bank, right? You're like an Inside Man, the Spike Lee movie, right? You're holding. You've tried to rob a bank. It went tits up. The cops are surrounding you. It's Dog Day afternoon, to do another analogy, and then this weird ass terrifying orange, yellow fake computer vicious robo dog with obviously with a gun attachment comes in and confronts you. Now, what are you going to do? You're not going to be like, oh, this is a calming situation. This is like, now, oh, thank God, like Robo is here. It's going to be cool. Like, no, you freak out. I mean, you might kill everyone. I mean, it's spooky and terrifying. I mean,
I'd just think about
like a calm hostage negotiator, walk in there, a nice, smart, cool cop who's like, dude, it's gonna be cool. We're gonna get you out of here. You got a life to live. It's like, well, we're gonna get pizzas in here for all of you guys. How do they think this is going to de-escalate a hostage situation?
It's not, and they don't want to. That's the problem, is that we've talked about the militarization of police before, and it bears repeating. This has been going on for the last, 20 plus years now, not just hiring of vets in police forces who are suffering from PTSD and make bad decisions, but the equipment from Iraq, from Afghanistan. They use it for 6 months, and then they turn it over and they sell it to or give it to police forces around the country. So now they have armored personnel carriers. They had an armored, I think I told you this before, Ted. They had an armored Humvee, and they offered it to, and he accepted it at the coroner of St. Clair County, Alabama.
Well, when the terrorists come after us, they say rural Alabama is the first line of defense.
They came after the corpses, and I did nothing.
Inexplicably, in Red Dawn, the Soviets invaded in Colorado because obviously they did not possess any kind of knowledge of the existence of the west coast of the United States. They did not know about California.
They also wanted Coors. Let's be fair. Back then, they couldn't get it anywhere else. So.
And they don't have snow in Russia. Well, wait.
I actually had friends who took trips to Colorado. I lived in Wisconsin at the time, and they actually paid for their trips by bringing back cases of Coors because you couldn't get it anywhere else. And it was,
the fact that you couldn't get anywhere else, that was a blessing.
Yeah, I know.
Coors is a terrible beer. The first time I tasted it, I was like, I can't believe this is something that people made an effort to try to get.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't just make an effort. You could sell for a premium. So there's that. Digi-Dog would have not approved.
Digi-Dog probably doesn't approve of anything.
Okay, Ted, here's the big question.
Not to mention they're going to hook it up. They're going to hook it up with AI Digi-Dog is gonna choose its own targets. Digi-Dog
Yeah.
can make its
Yeah.
own decisions. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to go after Ted Rall and Scott Stantis, who apparently had a terrible falling out in the latter part of the 20th century, according
That's
to
right.
chat.
That's what Chat GPT says. By the way,
So no, Ted,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to ask you the number one question, I think, on this issue, and I think only Ted can answer this. To be, you may be the only person in the country who can at the moment.
Whoa.
Digi-Dog versus flamethrower drone.
Oh, well, like who's gonna win?
Yeah, who prevails?
Flamethrower drone owns the skies. Digi-Dog can't follow up. Digi-Dog can bark and maybe shoot and wag its fake tail.
Shit batteries.
Yeah, shit batteries. But what can it get? A flamethrower drone obviously has the upper advantage. I'm gonna say Digi-Dog looks more agile than flamethrower drone. But
Yeah.
I bet a seasoned drone pilot could outmaneuver Digi-Dog. And I have to say, I for one would pay a decent amount of money to see this epic fight. But I'm very loyal to the flamethrower drone.
You are.
And I think that there's some hilarious, this being the New York Post, and it being a New York story, there's some great quotes from some cops here. So a transit policeman is quoted in the article saying, "No one is concerned about robots taking their jobs. We're thousands of cops short, but the robots will be sitting ducks. Never mind getting graffitied. People will try to destroy them." I'm like, yeah, heroes of the Republic. If someone is able to destroy them and gets arrested, will they be charged with assaulting a police officer, or will it be a property crime? The officer quipped. I mean, obviously it's a property crime. Another Manhattan cop joked that the egg-shaped K5 looks like the machine that wipes up spills in the supermarket. Will we use them to wipe up the blood of the victims?
He's not wrong. This thing, if the K5, now the Digi-Dog is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. The K5 is preposterous. It really looks like some kind of ridiculous thing you'd see at Walmart.
I want to hit it. I want to drive my car into it, and even fuck it, I'm not going to make an insurance claim. There's one piece of technology that they just sort of mentioned as an aside, Scott, that I actually think might be a net positive. I'm curious about what you might think. They're also deploying something called Star Chase, which basically is like, if you remember in Spider-Man, Spidey shoots his web at like a moving vehicle, and then he can track it or like be pulled along.
Right.
And it's like that. So basically it's called Star Chase. It's a GPS device. So basically it shoots like a cylinder that sticks to the car. And that way you don't have to have a high-speed chase. The cops can just use GPS to see where the car goes and set up a roadblock later. And that seems like it would improve public safety. You wouldn't have to have any wild chases through cities.
That would I mean, there have been stories after story after story of high-speed chases around the country, and how police departments are trying to cut back on them because you don't catch the guys sometimes, and a lot of times you wrap yourself around a tree, which is bad, so yeah, this sounds like an opportunity. If it's an opportunity to de-escalate, that you just and this thing sticks to the car and you just go, okay, just chill, and okay, it's near the 24th precinct, guys. He's right there. Go get him. Yeah. That is far better than going 110 miles an hour through the streets of Manhattan, or the streets of Birmingham, or the streets of Houston or Los Angeles.
I mean, I gotta say, I don't see how this fucking fake robo trash bucket piece of shit is going to make the subways any safer. I mean, currently there's at least one homeless person sleeping in every single car 24 hours a day. It is sketchy as shit. It's a different kind of vibe from the 80s. Graffiti is back on the street, not on the subway, and there's not as much random street violence, but there's definitely a sense of impunity. Like if you happened to get into a confrontation with someone that turned violent, there's not much sense that anyone would catch you or try to stop you. That's kind of like
Well,
what happened.
you said in New York, and the same is true of Chicago. I still do work in Chicago, and we were up there recently. I got accosted. Me and my friends got accosted on the L for the first time. I lived there for 10 years before this, and this wasn't some random thing. This was like Ted describes. It's not becoming dystopian yet, but sure, shit getting close. And the number one thing I noticed, the same thing Ted noticed in a conversation we had recently, there was no police presence at all.
Yeah.
At all. And, I mean, that's all part of, you can trace it back to Black Lives Matters protests. You can trace it back to defund. I thought defund was a dumb name, by the way, because it's politically stupid. But
yeah, reallocate would have been more accurate.
I think reform. I mean, there are better ways to police. I mean, we just talked about one. We just talked about
fix.
About the thing that
make the police work for us. How about that?
Yeah. And ratchet back a lot of the shit we've lumped on top of them with social work, with drug interdiction, with mental health interdiction. We turned the job over the last 20 years, and hence the militarization and a lot of factors involved here. But Digi-Dog is not the answer. And by the way, the K5.
By the way, what about Digi-Cat?
It would just be a bitch, just a turd.
No,
it would just be
Digi-Cat couldn't be bothered. Digi-Cat would be
right.
Like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
Digi-Cat, help me! I'm being robbed.
What's in it for me?
The last thought for the K5, by the way, looking at this thing, if I ever saw it in the L in Chicago or saw it in a subway in New York, I'd want to just push it over. It looks like it's really easy to tip over.
Or I'd want to ideally push it in front of the tracks. But dude, it's heavy as shit. It's 400 pounds.
I think, well, I mean, you use, some leverage. Two guys, you could tip it over pretty easily.
Yeah. It can be done.
I think these are the two guys who are ready to do it.
Yeah, we are willing to take a stance against autonomous policing, which, I mean, it's like human policing isn't that great. And I don't think this is going to make it better.
Well, and we kind of glossed over it, but real quick, you did mention that AI, and that you're absolutely right. They're going to imbue this with AI. And so that it's going to have some kind of autonomy pretty quickly. And if that's the case, that's terrifying. I'm sorry. That's bad. It's like, Ted Rall look like bad guy, must shoot. And like, no, Ted.
I would look, I have to say, honestly, if I saw someone, destroy that, I'd give them $20 on the spot for sure. I mean, there was about 10, 15 years ago in LA, there was a stoplight camera vigilante who would drive around and in broad daylight get his ladder out of his truck and just climb up to the thing and smash the fuckers with a hammer. And the thing is, he was so popular, he had to stop doing it because he was becoming a celebrity on social media. He was so popular, like with the locals. I mean, it was kind of like,
oh yeah,
I just want to break these things. I don't need like a crowd of like, women wanting to marry me. And like, it's like, he was like the biggest hero in Southern California history.
I mean,
really hate these things. It's like drones, like I've read about how drones have gone onto people's private property in Colorado and places like that. And then the locals shoot them. And I'm like, good for them. If my neighbor's drone comes over my property, I have every fucking right to shoot it.
Well, in fact, you do. So far, court cases about stuff like that have defended, like this guy's daughter would sun herself in the backyard. And then one day you hear, and the neighbor was, oogling his daughter. Well, he went and got his gun and he shot it.
Good for him. I know that the FAA doesn't like it, right? They're like the control of the skies or something, but it's like,
well,
no.
yeah. If you're cruising at 11 feet over the ground, sure. But I mean, I'll never forget.
If you're within gun range, I'd say it's fair game.
I can't remember.
Shoot it down. You have the right to shoot it down.
Why I have this memory of, I was on the phone with you at the time, and I'm like in my apartment in Chicago, and I hear a very faint. I go, what the hell is that? I look outside, and there's a drone, and I look across the street on top of the apartment building across the street from us, some asshole with his little remote control thingy. And I said, I've never wanted a gun more
Yeah, or a
than that
bat.
moment. Well, I'd have to jump 23 flights of floors, and
would-
I just don't think I can't fly
No, I mean,
that I know of.
you're a cartoonist, not a columnist. Well, all right, so I think we can agree that we're anti these things.
Well, anti-autonomy, and like the thing you mentioned, and like I said, we glossed over it and haven't talked much about it, but you're right. And I just want to close with this: is these things are going to be imbued with some autonomy, and that's even more terrifying. Could you imagine? I mean, given the police state we live in currently, that here's the parameters for police action for Digi-Dog or the K5.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm gonna say which I think the K5 has no future. It will not survive.
It's ridiculous looking. It also looks stupid.
And people will just, I mean, it's kind of like, what's the point of it? It's probably cheaper to just install more security cameras. And there's already,
You know what Digi-Dog reminds me of? It just hit me on why this disturbs me so deeply. 1963, Bull Connor, Birmingham, Alabama. The dogs. This reminds, because it's the same psychology. This thing is so it's meant to terrorize you. That's its point. That's its function. And I don't want the state to have anything that they think terrorizes me.
And every time I look at that dog, I think it's meant to terrorize. I think it's a visceral reaction that human beings are going to have, which is we must kill it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a threat. And that is exactly what it's designed for. It's not cute. It's designed to scare the shit out of you. And a human response, a primal response is to kill it.
Yeah. And frankly, I'm all for it. All right.
Here.
Digi-Dog must die. All hail flamethrower drones. All right. So, God, before we head off until next week, where can people find your work?
Go to gocomics.com/Scott Stantis, one word, or go to gocomics.com/Prickly City to see my comic strip. You can also go to chicagotribune.com/opinion and see the gallery of the work I do for them, or go to dallasnews.com, which is the site for the Dallas Morning News, which I also draw for, and see a gallery of work I do for them. And you can listen to Ted and I on Center Clip, which is a brand new, really, really cool app. They're like mini podcasts, 30 seconds to 5 minutes. Ted posts roughly 2,500 times a day. I tried to beat him today. I may have the shortest Center Clip ever. This one was only like 38 seconds. Excellent. I talked about it's about Tim Scott, which is 34 seconds longer than it should have been. Anyway, so Ted, where can we catch up with all things Ted?
Well, next week, hopefully there will be an additional venue to do that. But right now, you can go to sputniknews.com Tuesdays and Thursdays, most weeks, whowhatwhy.org on Saturdays, Rall.com every day of the week. And I'm probably forgetting something, but who cares? And I'm on Center Clip, as you said, with Scott. So thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the DMZ America podcast. We'll be back with you next week or sooner if something happens that requires us to weigh in. Have a great week. Talk to you later.
Keep it real, kids.
Hang loose.